Good afternoon to everyone. Good morning to those of you who are a couple of time zones west of here. I'm Aaron Bobick. I'm the Dean of McKelvey Engineering here at WashU, and it's really wonderful to see all of you. Welcome to what's an unusual but inaugural McKelvey Engineering Emerging Leader Awards virtual event. We actually came up with this idea more than a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and was supposed to happen this past spring. And of course, a few things got interrupted along the way. But we decided to go ahead and do this virtually anyway, because we just really want to be able to celebrate, as it says, emerging leaders, people that are demonstrating the different things one can do coming out of an engineering school, coming out of McKelvey Engineering, as you move forward. You know, our students and the faculty, as an engineering school, we strive to do many things, not the least of which is preparing people to go become engineers. Although we say that as if that means something, be an engineer, right? Well, a few of our folks go on to take what you might think of as line engineering jobs, but so many of our graduates and many of the people that we're going to honor today really took their engineering approach to pursue different elements, whether it's investigations in science, innovation in healthcare, a career in public service and in military, folks who are working at the cutting edge of industry in a variety of ways. These are all different aspects of how engineering students coming from McKelvey really make a difference. When we think about who we selected, the Emerging Leader Awards really is a focus of recent alumni who exemplify leadership in some capacity. And like I said, that could be either with respect to building companies, pursuing new science, or efforts in the military. It is the research that it is that innovation and that leadership that we're really focusing on. Today, Robert Hamilton, Patty Harburg-Petrich, David Levine, Brent Ramerth, and Stephanie Willarth. You guys are the inaugural recipients of this award. And it's because you all really represent that dedication and exemplify that innovation and leadership. So to begin, let me show you a short video that reflects the way all of our honorees go about discovering, innovating, collaborating, and moving the world forward.
Everyone that gets into engineering has some spirit or some motivation to innovate in a space, and whether that's building bridges or building rockets for the next mission to Mars, innovation is ingrained within engineering.
I'm originally from Missouri, so I was well aware of Washington University and its reputation. And then as I was looking to pursue graduate studies in biomedical engineering, I was really intrigued by both its program as well as the strength of its medical school.
Knowing how to break problems down and think like an engineer would solve a problem and do the things, that the process of solving problems that I learned at McKelvey is something that I use every single day, not only in my professional life, but also in my personal life.
My vision for the future is to really leave the world in a better place than when I came into it, and to improve the lives of the people in our communities.
Without the Langsdorff Scholarship, I simply would not have been able to attend the university. This scholarship put me on the path to becoming who I am today, and it opened doors for me to discover my passion and ultimately led to my career.
Great. It is now my pleasure to introduce our moderator for our forum today. Natalie DeVaux-Bouchard has really had some interesting and significant success since graduation, and all along demonstrating confident leadership in everything she does and connecting with others. Natalie shifted her career from the oil and gas industry into real estate as both an investor and investment manager. In fact, we just recently had a fun conversation because most of her real estate is in Texas, which, as you know, experienced some interesting challenges for real estate recently. And how you manage that is sort of a quintessential engineering problem. And so it was great to hear about that. In 2018, the school recognized her achievements with a Young Alumni Achievement Award as really a model of strategic, independent thinking, creativity, innovation, and even courage. In fact, as I think a little bit about something that underlies a bunch of the decisions that our emerging leaders exhibited, it takes some courage to make some of the decisions that get made, to risk following a path that's not the easiest path. And I think that underlies everything that we do. Natalie graduated in 2004 with a Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering. And I want to say that I'm really grateful for Natalie's continued involvement and support as a member of the WashU Houston Regional Cabinet and of the Elliott Society, and generally staying connected to engineering, women in engineering, and everything we do. So Natalie, thank you for joining us and serving as the moderator.
Thank you, Dean Bobek. It's a privilege to be here as a representative of McKelvey Engineering. Welcome again to the honorees, fellow alums, current students, and the university friends that are, I think, still logging in. I echo your generous remarks about this year's outstanding honorees, and this award highlights the positive impact alumni make in their own local communities, the country, and around the world. For this forum, we'll be addressing the honorees with questions and share videos about their career achievements. As we introduce each honoree, you'll learn more about them, but also feel free to add your own questions using the chat at the bottom of your screen. That chat feature will be used to capture your questions, and at the end of the introduction of each honoree, we'll be opening things up for a Q&A. And our first honoree is Robert Hamilton. As an accomplished entrepreneur, engineer, and clinical researcher, he holds a passion for innovative technologies in the area of brain health management. In his role at Nova Signal, he is revolutionizing how real-time blood flow data is utilized for brain health.
Our vision is to combine automated robotics, machine learning, and ultrasound to address brain health. Today, we're 80 people in Los Angeles, and we're placing systems in both the US and Europe, and I'm happy to say we're affecting patients around the world. I fundamentally believe that this technology can change the field of medicine and how it's practiced today. It means the world that what we're trying to do here and what I've been able to accomplish individually with my team is recognized as something that is important.
Thanks for being here, Robert. We have two forum questions for you. And the first one is, what experiences influenced you at McKelvey Engineering in preparation for the real world?
Well, first, I'd like to congratulate all the honorees and thank WashU for this honor. But it's a good question. I think it's difficult for somebody to sum up one specific experience that kind of led them down the road. But while I was at WashU, I had the opportunity and privilege to travel to China with Dr. Yin as part of a senior design course and work with local students and physicians in Hong Kong and Guangzhou, working on forwarding medicine and trying to better understand technologies. And at that time, I was first introduced to stroke. And that one event became not only the focus of my graduate work, but also the focus of the company Nova Signal. And so both that event led to my passion for understanding stroke and traumatic brain injury, but also my passion for developing technologies for not only the US, but the developing countries.
Well, that's really amazing. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how do you apply this advice in your work?
Yeah, I guess similar. I've been privileged to have a number of different mentors, friends, colleagues that have guided me along this journey. And there's a couple in there, and one I'd like to highlight is actually from Professor Bailey when I was an undergraduate researcher at WashU. And really his advice was to be curious about not only the negative results that you get as an engineer, as much as you are the positive results. And a small story about the company and how it was founded is that I made basically a mistake in my code that I analyzed differently and ultimately led to the core of the company. And if it wasn't for that advice and kind of that mindset that Dr. Bailey had instilled in me, I could have passed it over. So that's something I try to apply to different applications throughout my life.
So it's a happy accident?
Yeah, happy accidents.
No, and curiosity is something we can carry into all aspects of our lives and grow, which I think is a fundamental need for everyone. Robert, congratulations on your Emerging Leaders Award.
Thank you.
Our next honoree, Patty Harbor Petrich, is known for engineering high-performance buildings and pioneering strategies for creating vital, more sustainable communities. She's been recognized several times for her work and dedication as a mentor.
I am a structural engineer. I work for Burrow Happold. We're an engineering and consulting company. Right now I'm working on a project at LAX called the Midfield Satellite Concourse South. Millions of people go through these projects every year, and it's just exciting to know that so many people are using the space that you're creating. I'm really proud of the work that we've done to improve people's lives. I've been fortunate to be able to participate on some pro bono projects that help underserved people in our community, and that feels really great. Being recognized with the Emerging Leader Award is such an honor. I was just completely blown away when I got the call, and just so humbled to be recognized by WashU.
Patty, good to see you.
You too, thank you.
And welcome to all of our, I'm sorry, it's so good to see you, Patty. We have two forum questions for you. What does the phrase, think like an engineer, mean to you?
Thanks, Natalie. It's a really great question. And I think it goes back to what Dean Bobick was talking about in the beginning. Engineering, it's about problem solving, but also about thinking about how to create value through design. And this is incredibly important as we're trying to address the climate emergency. We really need to think about the big picture and think holistically, thinking about how systems can work together and even do double or triple duty. But yeah, I think thinking like an engineer is not just about engineering, but it's really about creating value through design.
And the spaces we were seeing in the video looked amazing, and I'm sure they're cutting edge too. So I was very impressed. What advice would you give to current McKelvey engineering students?
Yeah, so I thought, excuse me, I thought a lot about this. Number one, I think it's about asking for help and advice, even if you don't think you need it. You never know what you might learn by listening to somebody else with an open mind. The other thing I would say to current students is now is the time to reach out to people or organizations that you might want to work with. It's a great opportunity for you to learn more about the organization and also for them to get to know you. And people really want to help students. So while you're in school is a great time to ask for help and make those connections. The other thing I would say is put your energy into what is interesting and important to you. This is going to help, or at least this is what I found, is it helps me feel fulfilled and has helped me achieve success by really focusing on and putting my energy into what's important to me and what's interesting to me.
It doesn't even feel like work probably at that point.
That's right.
Because
Yeah,
because
that's
it
right.
falls in the realm of a passion and something you eat, sleep, and dream. Patty, congratulations on your Emerging Leader Award. I'm sorry earlier I meant to say welcome to all of your guests who are attending this call as well.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
Our next honoree, Lieutenant Colonel David Levine, as the Chief of Advanced Capabilities Division of the United States Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office, he leads a 30-member team on specialized projects to rapidly design, develop, test, and field advanced test and field advanced technical capabilities.
Being a member of ROTC gave me some very specific goals for my career. I graduated and immediately went to flight school, and I flew operationally for a number of years over in England. I'm currently running a team called the Advanced Capabilities Division. Our job is to design, build, acquire, and field the most advanced capabilities for the warfighter. I really enjoy the technical development and the technology side of the military and learning how to take my engineering skills and take the things that this nation is capable of producing and turning them into ways to keep our nation safe. Being recognized as an emerging leader, it means a lot to me. It sort of validates for me the hard work that I put in.
Congratulations on your Emerging Leader Award, David, and thank you for your service. We have 2 forum questions for you. What factors in your life impacted your career choice? How did you decide which career or life moves you have made which career or life moves you made to this point?
Thanks, and first of all, thank you to WashU, and congratulations to the other honorees today. So my grandfather was a Navy pilot in World War II, and that made a pretty big impression on me. I was very proud of his service, and that influenced my thought about the military. As I got into be a little bit older and got into college, I realized that my passions and my interests aligned very closely with a lot of the things the military does. I love flying. I love engineering. I love solving big problems and being part of something. You know, everyone says part of something bigger than yourself, but it really feels that way. And it just seemed like a natural fit for me to take on a bunch of different things I was really passionate about all at the same time. In one sense, to the second part of your question, being in the military means you give up a sense of control over some of the things, you know, where to go and what to do and when to do it. But in a more specific sense to my career, I've had a lot of opportunities to chase a bunch of different things that I might not otherwise have gotten to do. I've gotten to fly. I've gotten to go to test pilot school and engineering school and be a part of acquisitions and operations and things that they're very disparate and they're from all across the board. But because I've been in the military, I've been able to put them all together in my career and string them along. And that's let me sort of put together a resume that I certainly would not otherwise have been able to do all the different experiences I've gotten, which has been really valuable. And then I certainly have to say that having a supportive family who's willing to go travel around and move around and do all the things that we've done has been a big plus as well. That's always a huge advantage.
Yeah, and your resume is diverse and impressive. What aspects of your career are you most passionate about?
So my happy place professionally is getting to take an idea, something that somebody thinks is possible or maybe isn't sure is possible, and turn it into reality. And anyone who's familiar with the government knows we're not always very efficient at that process. It's certainly a challenge working within the bureaucracy that is the military and is the US government to try to solve big problems and big ideas and gain consensus and do the things that you have to do to solve problems. My personal passion, the thing I love to do, is to take the experiences I've had, the operational experience, the engineering experience, the technical things I've gotten to do, and put them together and make a solution to something that in some cases people will directly say this isn't possible, it can't be solved. And I've had the opportunity a few times in my career to actually see projects through from start to finish, which in the military is very rare. And it means you have to work very rapidly, you have to build consensus very rapidly, you have to make technical progress very rapidly. And it's definitely a challenge. It's a really dynamic environment to work in that kind of context where you're trying to solve things. But when you know that it's to keep the nation safe, when you know that it's to solve a problem that might not otherwise get solved, it adds a layer of urgency to it that is worth solving. And that is definitely the environment I like to be in.
Well, we thank you for solving what seems unsolvable and making the government more efficient. David, I understand your next assignment is going to be commander of the multi-domain task force at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada beginning this summer. Thank you again for your service and good luck on your move.
Thank you very much.
Our next honoree, Brent Ramerth, a machine learning research manager at Apple. Brent has combined his appreciation for computational linguistics and knowledge of developing software to make a meaningful impact on the world. Through the Ramerth Family Endowed Scholarship, he inspires others to donate in order to help shape the future of McKelvey engineering and its exceptional students.
Apple, of course, is a wonderful place to work. One of the projects that I'm most proud of is my work on the Cherokee keyboard. I took the lead on designing how to input text in the language. By helping preserve the Cherokee language, we're in fact helping to preserve the Cherokee culture. A number of my professors were able to point me in directions that ultimately laid the groundwork for my career. But without Washington University, I would not have made these connections and built the foundation for who I am today. I'm deeply honored to be recognized with the Emerging Leader Award. I was not comfortable with leadership for a long time, but I'm very humbled and very honored to be recognized in this way.
Brent, thank you again for your generous contributions to support McKelvey engineering students. We have 2 forum questions for you as well. How has Washington University helped you get to where you are?
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to WashU for the honor. I'd say that Washington University has been absolutely foundational to who and where I am today. It started with the scholarship. Without my Langsdorff scholarship, I would not have been able to attend the university. And then being a student at WashU, I was always surrounded by a community who supported me and exposed me to new ideas and helped me build a sense of independence and self-confidence as a young person. And beyond that, I learned about new fields. I learned about the field of linguistics and how to combine it with computer science and how those complement each other. It's the intersection of technology and the liberal arts, as Steve Jobs always used to say. So the university gave me that technical foundation, but also taught me how to be an effective learner and a lifelong learner. And ultimately, WashU fostered the connections that led to the start of my career. I'll always be grateful to my professor, Brett Kessler, who introduced me to Apple as an intern and set in motion a 14-year career. I consider myself phenomenally fortunate in what I've been able to achieve, and I'm deeply grateful for Jumpstart and the support that the university has given me to help me to become who I am today.
So it sounds like McKelvey Engineering put you at the intersection of everything you needed to be moving forward. In your perspective, what qualities best exemplify leadership? I know you said leadership was something you weren't comfortable with right away, so it took some time.
Yeah, that's definitely been an area of self-development. I think there's 4 essential qualities. The first is vision. You need to have a clear and compelling vision for where you're going and why, because that gives your team purpose. It gives your people a chance to connect their own goals and their growth as leaders with that vision. And then to be able to align your team with that vision, you need to be able to effectively communicate it. You need to distill that vision into concrete goals and motivate and inspire others to go along with that vision. But that communication is also a two-way street. You need to be able to take the lead and be decisive, and sometimes you need to fall back and listen. So, not just listen, but also deeply listen, connecting with people, being empathetic. Empathy is essential to understanding people's needs and their motivations, to building trust, resolving conflicts, and getting that alignment with your vision. But then after that alignment, then you need to execute. And that requires the creativity and the innovation that Dean Bobick was talking about. Because in the real world, nothing ever goes according to plan. And so as a leader, you need to be able to deal with uncertainty, think creatively, and find those new paths that haven't been explored yet.
Have you worked with teams internationally or cross-culturally? And in this digital time, it's all through screens or distance, so it presents challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a core part of our work, and being able to communicate with people from different backgrounds with different ways of communicating. That's absolutely a core skill.
Congratulations again on your emerging leader.
Thank you.
Our final honoree, Stephanie Willerth, is the Director of Biomedical Engineering, the Biomedical Engineering Program at the University of Victoria in British Columbia, Canada. In the past year, Stephanie and her team addressed challenges related to COVID-19 by inspecting, assembling, and delivering 5,000 face shields to Island Health in Vancouver at no cost. Thank you for supporting the community during this unprecedented time.
Here at the University of Victoria, I started our biomedical engineering undergraduate program. Our lab is working in the area of 3D bioprinting. And in our group, we use stem cells along with specialized materials known as bioink in order to print living tissues. And one of the really exciting things is we can actually generate these tissues from stem cells taken from patients. So we have essentially patient-specific tissues that we can use to test potential drug treatments. It's a great honor to receive this award, just knowing how many successful alumni the McKelvey School of Engineering has produced. I think it's both an honor and a responsibility to try and uphold the standards and demonstrate some of the values that I learned while at WashU.
Stephanie, we're glad to honor you with this award, and congratulations on receiving the Emerging Leader Award. So we have two forum questions for you. In your perspective, what qualities best exemplify leadership?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, Natalie, and thanks to WashU for this award, and thanks to everyone who's in attendance today. In terms of leadership qualities, I think a good leader, as other people have alluded to, knows how to listen, and you always need to give credit to your team, because when you read off my accomplishments or other people's accomplishments, like I wouldn't be able to do this without my amazing research lab and support from the community. So I think those are good things for leaders to keep in mind, and just being open to feedback and willing to hear, from your team to be able to effectively address issues in your organization.
And our next question is, how has Washington University helped you get to where you are?
Oh, it's a good one. It was an amazing time. I know we have Dr. Yen and Dr. Sutton, the current chairs, I think are in attendance, but it was a really special time when I was in grad school. I think of our entering class of PhD students, I think 10 or 11 us are now professors. I worked under Shelley Sakiyama Elbert's guidance, and when she was starting out as a professor. So it was interesting because we both sort of, as I went through grad school, she was going through, the tenure process. So we really grew together, and it was really great to have a woman mentor that really set me up for when I had to go through all this again as a professor. And I still can call her to this day whenever I have any questions about things. And the whole community, back when we were allowed to get together in person, we'd have our annual biomedical engineering meetings, and WashU always hosted really nice receptions and booths. So it was great to catch up with friends and faculty, because some of my friends are now faculty at WashU, and see, the new crop of students. So it's a great network, and just a really great experience. And I'm sad I haven't been able to get back to see all the construction that's gone on campus.
Yeah, it sounds like relationships evolved from student professor to mentor to friends now. So it's evolution over time. Thank you again. Excellent conversation. And to all of our honorees, thank you for sharing your expertise and advice. Let's open this session now for participant Q&A. We want to hear from you. So again, submit your questions via the chat, and I'll be reading them out loud. Our first question is going to be for Robert. There we go. All right, Robert, as an undergraduate, did you imagine yourself in this area of expertise, or did you consider pursuing a different path?
Excellent question. I thought I was going down a number of different paths. I originally wanted to work for industry and really apply the biomedical engineering expertise to the development of new technologies. And during my graduate work, found a kind of a gap in what was available, and then went down the entrepreneurial path instead. And so while I was at WashU, I didn't think that I'd start my own company, but as many of the other honorees mentioned, kind of problem solving kicks in as an engineer, and then ultimately decided to start my own company.
Very nice. Our next question is going to be for Patty. Patty, what is one thing you wish you knew in school that would have helped you tremendously today?
That's such a great question. I think it kind of goes back to what I said before about really focusing on what is interesting to you, and rather than trying to do what you think you should do. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Natalie. When it's something that you're passionate about, you get a lot of energy from that, and that actually helps you be able to help those around you better than if you're trying to spin your wheels doing what you think you should do. So again, I think I would go back to just pursue your passions and just really focus on that.
Yeah, and for me personally, WashU was where I discovered those passions, because I don't think I knew or they hadn't shaped yet, and it was such a wonderful environment to try new things and grow and learn.
That was the same for me. I really had no idea what engineering was until I went to WashU, and I'm really grateful for that education.
I started out in the art school, pre-med art student, so I was not an engineer when I joined. But the school is amazing. Our next question is going to be for David. Who were your mentors? Oh, sorry, David. So who were your mentors, and how did they contribute to your success?
Boy, that's a great question. Certainly, as a young child, my family, my grandfather, who I mentioned a moment ago, was definitely somebody who taught me the importance and the pride you get out of school. Which I think, not to keep going back to being in the military, but it's an important aspect of growing up, and became an important part of my life. And beyond that, my family, I've had a few family mentors, but I suspect most people have that as well. When I was in school, there were a few folks that reached out directly to me. I made a big decision as a freshman to actually switch from a liberal arts focus to the engineering school. And I did that because I wanted to be able to put myself in a position where I could join the military and do the things I'm doing now. And there were a number of people actually in the mechanical engineering department. It's probably too long of a list to really go through all of it right now, but I want to specifically thank the mechanical engineering leadership when I was a freshman and sophomore timeframe for helping me make the decision and trust that I could actually make that crossover into the engineering school. I did not have a very high level of confidence, and that was a very big decision for me. Beyond that, in the military specifically, I've had more mentors and helpers and senior leaders and people who have pulled me along than I could ever name on this phone call right now. But what I want to say, maybe as more of a larger picture message, is the key, I think, to any of the mentorship I've gotten is being unafraid to ask for help, and being willing to look for advice and look for guidance where you think maybe you have a weakness, or maybe you don't recognize you have a weakness. The ability to acknowledge that you don't know something, seek out somebody who has that knowledge, and then actually sit down and sincerely try to learn from them, and take that and bring it to yourself, and then hopefully someday pass that on to somebody else. That is a skill that it has to be learned, and it has to be practiced, and you have to continually do it. And there's probably nothing more valuable you could ever do than learn how to take advice and listen when someone can teach you.
Yeah, being teachable and having a growth mindset, for sure. Our next question, I think, is open for all of our honorees. So several of you mentioned problem solving as a skill set you received from your engineering degree. Is there a type of project partner that you prefer outside of engineering? So a non-engineer engineering mind. So throughout your careers, what skill sets have you found best complement your own engineering skills? I think we haven't had a response yet from Stephanie, so we'll start with Stephanie.
Yeah, in terms of things that complement me, I'm a very typical professor. I have lots of big ideas, and so it's great to have a lab of people who implement things, because once you get sort of far from the bench, it's been a while since I've been pipetting. So I think it's good to have people who can sort of translate my big picture ideas into reality. And just in terms of, we did spin a company off from my lab. So one of the things I've been also seeking out is people who are more on the business expertise side, because I'm much more of an engineer scientist. And so I'm a lot more of a conceptual person as opposed to some of the mechanics.
I think once you're in leadership and running a company or running a division, the business aspect creeps in very quickly. Do we have anyone else that wants to answer that?
I'll throw something in there. So this is maybe less of a specific skill set, but I absolutely love working with people who disagree with me. Generically that means a difference of opinion or having multiple viewpoints, but I specifically mean telling me what I'm doing wrong and where I've gone in the wrong direction. And I think bigger picture, that what that really gets to is having people that I'm working with that are willing to be honest and open about what they see and what their opinions are, and those types of maybe soft qualities. I really enjoy having a pretty wide viewpoint, and specifically where did I go wrong or where am I messing up?
In opposition to fleeing conflicts, right? Or fleeing the difference in opinions. And that's how you grow. So I agree. Anyone else?
I was going to say something similar as what David just said, but I think you can have those really honest conversations where there's a culture of respect, and I agree, like having a diversity of viewpoints is really important. And even, data shows that more diverse teams come up with better solutions, make more money, that sort of thing. So even if you look at it kind of from a cynical perspective, that diversity is really important.
I've got a question for Brent.
Yes.
Brent, how did being the recipient of the Langsdorff Scholarship impact your education? And in your opinion, why are scholarships important?
Oh, thank you for the question. For me personally, it was absolutely essential to my being able to attend the school. And, since that's kind of put me where I am today, I take that as, my personal mission is to repay that generosity, to be able to give back what was given to me, so that, through that generosity, then others can be similarly enabled, and, they can do the same to others. So it's a chain reaction, right? That's what giving represents to me, is that kind of exponential growth of positive impact to the world. So that's what I try to do.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you very much. All right. For Stephanie and Patty, why do you think it's important to have women in engineering specific activities? How do you hope this will help our current and future students? Stephanie, would you like to answer first?
Yeah, and I think some people actually touched on this with the last question. I think it's just really important, especially even if you look just straight up at medical devices. Like, for example, when they were making artificial hearts, they were all designed for rather large men. And this has come up a lot in health research. And I know the National Institutes of Health has now put a big focus on even studying how drugs act differently in women's bodies versus men, and it's just a really understudied field. So in biomedical engineering, it makes a lot of sense to have that there. It also goes for other minority groups as well, which unfortunately with COVID, you've really seen some of these health discrepancies and how they affect different populations. And then the other thing is, in terms of the quality of the profession, and this is what I say, our biomedical engineering program at UVic, and I think WashU's is pretty similar, we're actually at over 50% women, which is quite different from our other engineering disciplines. But if you're shutting out groups like women and other minorities, you're missing out on some of the best talent in terms of engineering and bringing some of these perspectives. And so I think that it's something that is kind of a necessity. And one of the things I always say, and this is me, Professor Hat, recruiting, is, engineering is amazing. Like the stuff we do in my lab and what the other nominees have done is amazing. And so why wouldn't you want as many people to experience that as possible? And so that's my thoughts on that. And I'm curious to hear what Patty has to say.
Yes, Stephanie, I completely agree with you. I love my job. I think it's so much fun and so interesting. I think it's a great career option for a lot of people. And again, with the talent, of course, yeah, we want the best talent. We are at a point right now with our planet where we really need to take significant action to correct all of the harm that we have done as humans to our environment. And we really do need the best and the brightest people. We need a diversity of perspectives. We need to be thinking creatively outside of the box, and women are an important part of that.
And I echo both of your remarks. And like you said, the data and research supports a diverse team culturally, men, women make better, more profitable decisions for work. All right. We have one more question. I think it was Brent who mentioned nothing goes according to plan. To all the honorees, can you share an experience that didn't turn out as you expected and how you adapted and still found success? Robert, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I think the easiest example in my career was I started out studying something completely different in graduate school. And it was that mistake in my code that ultimately led to focusing on ultrasound instead of other various signals that I was looking at the time. And so that one mistake led to an idea, which led to the rest of my dissertation, which now led to the company. And so that idea of just trying to address and be aware of everything around you and those results, I never could have guessed that turned into what it turned into, but it was a nice little happy accident.
Well, you also took it, recognized it for what it was, and took it to where it could go, and that's your action taking. And how about Brent?
Well, for me, I think, with my education, I never really envisioned the particular confluence of, things that I was going to put together through school. I always kind of envisioned myself taking a very traditional sort of computer science focused path. And so, I was able to discover new ways of combining computer science with other disciplines through WashU, which I think really ignited my passion. And so it's like, being receptive to new ideas, new things that you didn't anticipate, new ways to put ideas together through school. I think that's something that's really essential to keep an open mind.
Thank you. So this was an excellent conversation. I enjoyed being here, and to all the honorees, thank you for sharing your expertise and advice. So we're going to draw this meeting to a close, and I'm going to turn the program back to Dean Bobick.
Natalie, thank you very much for moderating the discussion. I always appreciate your connecting with us and your participation. Final congratulations to all of our emerging leader honorees. you can decide whether you're the 2020 honorees or the 2021, or you can say that you were honored both times. That works for us. Really honoring dedication, leadership, and everything you've done. Speaking of which, I'd like to remind everyone who's on this call that on April 27th, we have the overall McKelvey Engineering Awards, which will also be virtual. As many know, many of our Alumni Achievement Awards are people who've gone a little further down their career path than our emerging leaders, and it's really great to see sort of how those initial successes led to future choices. And one of the things I always enjoy about it is the essentially random walk that many of our alumni have taken. And the thing that unites, that underpins all of it, is the ability to take an engineering perspective and focus on what they want to do. So I encourage all of you to join us again on April 27th. So we'll close the afternoon out with a final video about our honorees' impact and their connections to Washington University.
I would like to have a lasting impact on McKelvey Engineering. My wife and I have endowed a scholarship with the aim of unlocking human capital and enabling other young scholars who otherwise could not have attended the university with the means to jumpstart their careers and their lives.
My advice to all young women would be to keep an open mind. I think engineering is a really exciting field, and so I would recommend exploring it, going to camps, competing in things like FIRST Robotics, just to get exposure.
I want to make sure that future generations and future students are able to get those same experiences out of Washington University that I got. The satisfaction of graduating, knowing that I had picked the right major, knowing that I had picked the right school, it's a really important experience for me, and I want to make sure other people have that as well.
For young women who are interested in becoming engineers, I would say make sure the people around you know what your goals are. That's really important to get you where you want to go.
What impact I would like to have is that you can take these technologies and marry them with the clinical need. And I think that pulling out those ideas and giving students the confidence that they can take the seed of an idea and turn it into a product or a company or a solution.
Well, that was great. Really a wonderful event. Again, I'll remind everyone to please try to join us for the one more virtual event of McKelvey Engineering Awards on April. And man, do I look forward to all of you being able to come back to campus and for us to meet in person and share a meal and just see the progress that the faculty and students and the university has made going forward. And so much of it is due to the dedication and connection with all of you. So until 27th, thank you for joining us. Stay well and keep in touch.